All right. Good morning, everyone. My name is Xavier Duran. I am the Adult Programming Coordinator for the Lyle Library District. Thank you so much for joining us this morning for Facebook Marketplace 101. A couple of things before we begin. We are in webinar mode, which means only my camera and microphone are active. I will not be able to hear or see you. So if you're in the middle of eating a very delicious breakfast, still in your PJs, not to worry about that. The only camera that will be active will be mine, as well as my microphone. Because of that, the only way you're able to communicate with me is through the Q&A feature of the Zoom program. With that said, let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to go ahead and stop my video and we'll focus on the PowerPoint as well as switch over to a demo throughout the presentation. So this is a quick outline of what will be discussed for Facebook Marketplace. We're going to be looking at listings, how you can go about listing your items, and some safety tips, as well as some tips to make sure that your item is represented well in Facebook Marketplace. So let's head on over to our next slide. What is Marketplace? There's a definition from Facebook. Marketplace is an e-commerce platform that connects sellers, buyers through meaningful interactions and unique goods. Simply put, think of it as an online garage sale or an online thrift store. Also, think of it also as newspaper classifieds where people list items or things that they're interested in and hope for the best, hope that they will get a response to their listing. This service through Facebook is free. And I say free with a little asterisk because there is a popular internet adage, and I wish I can attribute that to the original author, but the adage goes, when the product is free, the product is you. Keep in mind that Facebook collects a lot of data from you. Think of this as like you gave them your first name. They might know where you reside, your current city. They know your occupation, your age, your gender. All of that is a gold mine for data and for research. So adding adding Facebook Marketplace to the mix of other data that Facebook is collecting is just another feather on their cap, to say the least. So we'll go into a demo real quickly, but you'll notice that within the listing, there is the following information listed. What they're selling, which is important, what is the price. It'll give the approximate location of where the person, the seller, is selling their items. Photo, it's really important to have photos, up close, wide angle shots of photos, just so that buyers can potentially see, as well as sellers can potentially see what items they're selling, and they'll often list the condition of the item. It's super important that you read the listing carefully. You will see that some Facebook listings on Marketplace will list $1 for an item that could resell for close to hundreds of dollars. And that's intentional so that you can click on that item and see that they're actually advertising a website where you can go directly and buy from them. It's very deceptive, and I would suggest against that. You'll see an opportunity to communicate with the seller through Facebook Messenger. I highly recommend that you keep, and this also is some important safety tips through Facebook as well, that you keep all communication exclusively to Facebook Messenger. And I'll get into that a little later. So I'm going to go ahead and jump into the demo to show you what Facebook Marketplace looks like. I am showing you on a Apple iPhone, but the setup is very similar to Android phones, as well as the desktop listing. So let's go ahead and look at Facebook Marketplace. Give me a quick second here. Pardon. So you'll see on the screen, this is Facebook, very similar to what you have on your, similar, they're exactly the same as your app. This is on an Apple iPhone, very similar to Android and very similar to desktop. At the bottom, or sometimes you'll see it through the sidebar on the desktop client, you'll see these icons on the bottom. One will give you a news feed, your friends. Facebook is also just kind of a weird segue, getting into a lot of media. So you'll see videos under Watch. And of course, you'll see Marketplace. So what we're going to go ahead and do is tap Marketplace. And this will take you to the Marketplace portion of Facebook. Depending on your settings, it will show you today's picks in your general area. It has chosen Downers Grove as the area to list items that are on sale in that area. You could, what it's showing you right now, you'll see that it is highlighted as all. That will show you items that are available for local pickup as well as shipping. If you're just interested in local pickup, you'll just tap local only, and that will filter out the listings to I'll filter out listings that are available in the area that you're closest to or in the area where Facebook believes that you're located in. If say that you want to maybe move away from Downers Grove, what you want to do is tap where it says Downers Grove, Illinois, and this should allow you to customize your radius. So if you do a suggested radius, this will show listings in your area or in your general area that Facebook thinks that you're located in. You can also tap on the screen and move that little blue dot to another area. Say that if you want to check out, maybe we want to look at Naperville. Once we position our dot over Naperville, we'll hit apply. The listings will update, and it's still some of the time it'll list the same items that you had previously, that were previously listed. Sometimes it'll add items because of the new location. So let's go ahead and tap on one of these listings just to show you what I was detailing about looking at listings. So you'll see that there is a commercial stepladder being sold. It is giving you the price, when it was listed, as well as who's selling it, and it will give you the general location. In the details, you'll see condition. So condition used like new, and it will give further information. So it's a Watling commercial stepladder, 5 feet, 225-pound rating. See pictures for more information. And right below, it's Facebook will show you products related to the listing above. So it's important to have multiple photos here. So you'll see you'll see photos of the ladder. You'll see a front view, maybe a side view, another view of the ladder up close. Sometimes they'll go into the nitty gritty, such as the brand and other information that would be helpful for you to determine whether or not you want to purchase this. This is also a good opportunity to see what others are selling, so you can plan on selling your items. So Facebook Marketplace is sort of a time suck. You can go ahead and look at all the items that are on sale in your general area. You can also specify what you're interested in purchasing, or this is also a great opportunity to research what others are selling. So say that if you have an item that you want to sell, you can put that in Search Marketplace, and it will give you all of the listings related to that search. So let's go ahead and I'm going to look up weights. At the very beginning of the pandemic, there was sort of a weight shortage. because a lot of people's gyms were closed. So a lot of individuals focused on at-home gyms, which then caused a run on exercise supplies. And now there are plenty of items on Marketplace that are being sold, such as weights, and it will give you an idea of prices for certain weights. Dumbbells, 30-pound dumbbells are going for $90. You'll also see full at-home gyms, weight benches, Olympic barbells, all of that, which will give you a good idea of what people are selling in that under the listing for weights. And it will also give you a good idea of what you should be selling your items for. With that said, let's go ahead and look into listing an item. So I'm just going to go ahead and tap back a couple of times. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to tap selling. So I'm going to tap selling here. And this will give you an overview. If you have multiple items on sale, this would be your dashboard, how many active chats you have going on, the number of times someone has clicked on your listing, your seller rating once you sell a couple of items. And if you scroll towards the bottom, it'll also give you a suggestion on what buyers are shopping for, just so that if you have, say, auto parts and accessories that you're interested in selling, that's something that is of interest to Facebook Marketplace. So let's go ahead and list an item. So I'm going to tap Create New Listing, and I'm going to go ahead and tap Items. And this will give me, sometimes Facebook will give you a tour of the app or the selling feature of Marketplace. We'll go ahead and skip that for now. I'm going to go ahead and add some photos. Previously, I was helping my father. Let me check something here. Oop, it's going to work. I'm going to go ahead and tap on these photos. This is what's called a vintage planer. It's for woodworking, and as you can see, it's a lot of steel, somewhat rusty, still looks like a workhorse. It's still operational, and we'll go ahead and list that and see what we can get. It'll give you a place for title, price, category, condition, and description, as well as your location. So in title, I'm going to type in very to the point, and I see that it's an Atla brand. It's an Atla brand planner. So I'll do Atla vintage planer. Please forgive me. I'm doing multiple things at the same time, so errors are going to happen when you multitask. Atla Vintage Planner. This is, again, for woodworking. For price, because it's pretty old, and this was basically found, I'm just going to set this as $50. You're more than welcome to, as we did previously, do a search for planers through Facebook Marketplace, as we did for weights, and see what others are selling items similar to ours. To the listing that we are putting on Facebook Marketplace. It automatically generated a category based on the title, so it knows that we're are doing planners. If it doesn't generate a category, you're more than welcome to tap on categories and do a search for the item that you're listing. Condition, it's not like new. It is used. We want to put this maybe in fair. And then we'll go ahead and, again, be very to be brief but to the point and concise. So we'll do Atla brand planner. We'll say some rust runs, and you can type in see photos for more info. And then you can edit your location. If you know, say that if you're going to be You can edit your location if you'd like. You can hide your listing from friends if you're interested, if you're regifting, or maybe a friend gave you this planner and maybe you don't want to hurt their feelings, and so you want to hide from friends. You can list this in, there are buying and selling groups, which we won't get into today, and additional listing options such as quantity. We only have one. Um, you can add variant, a bunch of other information. If you have the SKU, the little barcode for the item, you're more than welcome to put that in. You can do whether you want if you're for meetup preferences, if you're interested in door drop off, door pickup, public meetup, whatever you feel comfortable with. So there are multiple settings that you can use to let people know about your item and how people can go about getting this item from you. I am going to go ahead and hit next. And then it's going to ask me if I'm going to publish, and it's going to say publish one listing. And I'm going to hit the just publish button on the bottom. And Facebook will do its magic. It will go ahead and publish the listing. We can tap on the, can we tap on the listing now? So as publisher, or I am so sorry, as Facebook is listing the item, it'll list it as active. In your notifications, it'll let you see that like you're more than welcome to create another listing in tools, which Facebook figured out because it's a planner, it's a tool. It'll also say like if it's not working well in tools, you can list it elsewhere. Going back to marketplace, I'm going to tap on my listing. And then it will also give you a couple of options. You can hit notify me when listing is visible to others. You can also delete listing. It'll also give you some other options as well. So Atla Vintage Planner, and you can scroll down and it'll show you where this is, where this listing is also listed. Right now it's just listed in Marketplace. And keep in mind, you'll see that this item is being reviewed. Yeah, it'll ask you to verify your phone number, which we'll do later. I'm going to go back to our PowerPoint. So your item will be listed within a few minutes. I'm going to go ahead and switch back to our PowerPoint. So as I was saying previously, Facebook Marketplace also gives you the option to see what others are selling. So say that I listed a planner, you're more than welcome to research planners in Facebook Marketplace, see what others are selling. With listing your item, be sure to take several photos. As we were looking at the ladder and as we were briefly, very quickly tapping the photos that was helping my dad sell a planner for, I took several photos. I took a front shot of the item that I'm selling. I took a close-up of a little placard of information that stated the horsepower of the planner. Sometimes it'll note the wattage, voltage, as well as the serial number or SKU, and also lists the brand. I'm taking photos so that people can know, have a good understanding of what I am selling and whether or not it's something that they are interested in. And as you see, I wrote a very concise and to the point description, brand name, Atlas, planner, some rust, runs well or runs, and my listed condition as fair. So it's completely up to the individual whether or not this is something that they are interested in. Oops, sorry. And then going to a question that just popped up, the need for review. The need for review and whether or not items are to be listed. yes, items can be listed. What Facebook is verifying is making sure that it's not deceptive. It's also making sure that you're not selling things that are prohibited. For example, at Facebook, in their policy, they list that animals, drugs, financial or wellness services, or counterfeit items are not to be sold on the Facebook marketplace. And keep in mind that Facebook employs a lot of algorithms and computers to do a lot of the strenuous work. So from time to time, you might see one of these prohibited items make its way past through the algorithm. Or on the inverse, it could be that an item that's not prohibited, that's something that you could sell. Facebook will sometimes send you a message saying you can't sell this, and then of course you have to appeal, which we won't get into. A majority of the items do go through. Just make sure that you are clear and concise in your description, in your photos, and what you are selling. That's important. So go ahead. Okay. So now that we've listed our item, the communication between you and the individual will be through Facebook Messenger. Now, keep in mind, you're more than welcome to sell on Facebook Marketplace. You can also buy on Facebook Marketplace. So once you've located an item that you're interested in, you're more than welcome to communicate with the Facebook seller. Um, some questions you might have for the seller and some questions that a potential buyer might have for you is clarification on what you're selling, haggling, maybe the planner might have too much rust and maybe it shouldn't be valued at the $50 that you've listed it for. And so they'll say, hey, can you do 45? And of course, that's where the haggling comes in. Maybe they might ask you to send more photos. Maybe they want more of what does the motor look like? What does this part looks like? Could you send more photos? And of course, they'll ask for methods of payment. When dealing with any type of marketplace transaction, it's recommended that you do cash. I would use electronic payments cautiously, which I will get to in just a little bit once we come to our safety part. So I'm going to head over here. I'm going to go back to Facebook Marketplace. So excuse me while I switch screens. So we're going to switch screens. So we're back at Facebook. To see how your listing is doing, what we're going to tap is the Facebook Marketplace icon on the bottom. On the desktop client, you want to do you want to click on where the marketplace link is located. So we'll tap on our listing. So we have one active listing here. Wonderful. Oops, action required. Confirm your identity. We'll do that. Your phone number, continue. Oop. Give me one quick second. So this is a good time to say that Facebook implements a lot of necessary features so to make sure that you hopefully don't fall in a scam or counterfeit things or things that shouldn't be sold on Facebook don't make it to Facebook Marketplace. One quick second. I want to reset code. And one of the things that they do that is make sure that you have an active Facebook. They'll also check to verify in Marketplace if you have an active phone number, just so that everything can be connected and verified that you are an actual person and not just a you'll hear the term bot mentioned multiple times. You're not some type of bot that's selling fraudulent information. I'll give you one quick second. I just need to verify a couple other things here. Copy code. Wonderful. Now that I am verified with, they sent me a text to my phone number to make sure that I am a seller or I am a legitimate seller, and then our marketplace item will be listed. So we're going to go back a couple of slides here, and just I want to show you what is displayed once you list an item. So you have your item up front here. The brand name, an up close photo. Again, that photo of the placard with the horsepower of the planner, a full shot of the instrument, a couple of other shots, some other minor details. So these would be helpful for a potential buyer to look at and decide whether or not this is something that they want to purchase. We're going to go ahead and head back to Marketplace. So say that if you are interested in this ladder as a buyer, what you would do is send seller a message, and Facebook will sometimes have pre-programmed or pre-typed response. Is this still available? And it will send that message to that individual, or you can customize. You can say, will you be able to take $20, maybe $15, maybe you want to haggle for this ladder, and the buyer will communicate through Messenger. So I'm going to go ahead and head back to our PowerPoint. Go ahead. So where I showed you in, you can communicate with a potential buyer, or I'm sorry, keep flipping these interchangeably. Say that if you're a person, if you're someone who's interested in that ladder, you can send the seller a message saying, is this still available? Are you able to take $15 if you want to haggle? And the buyer will say like, oh, yes or no to that price, and absolutely. And then you can stipulate whether or not you want to meet up in your place in their place of residence, if you want to meet up in a public place, which brings us to meeting your buyer and seller, or sorry, buying or seller. Sorry. The first thing that you want to keep in mind is your safety. Always think about your safety, especially when you're dealing with anything involving the internet. Some police departments have instituted internet purchase exchange zones for residents. I know that Woodridge has one. You can also ask the potential buyer to maybe meet you in the parking lot of a police department, in the parking lot of a very busy store with a lot of foot traffic. The thing that you want to do is meet somewhere public. However, things sometimes don't work out, and maybe you have to meet them at their residence, or maybe they have to meet you at your residence. In any case, make sure someone is with you at all times when the transaction is going down, just to make sure that nothing unsavory happens. You do have the option to mail your item to the individual. This could be if something is super small, like a book, or maybe you're selling a vinyl record. The thing is, you would have to pay for shipping, and any shipping costs such as tracking and insurance. That is an option for you. For shipping, you would have to go through your post office or whatever preferred means of sending items through the mail you're comfortable with. With buying and selling, there are some pitfalls, of course. We are dealing with the internet, and from time to time, um, things don't go right. And one of those that you might get a lot is cold feet. Sometimes the buyer might not show up, and they won't respond to their messages. That's completely normal for Facebook Marketplace. Oftentimes, they'll find an item that's in their price range elsewhere in Marketplace, or maybe they've gotten the item elsewhere but don't want to communicate with you. Consider this as a sort of a form of ghosting, and they won't respond to the messages. Um, they probably show up, but the listing is not what they wanted and don't buy. So maybe my planner, the little tool that I was selling for my father, might have way too much rust for their liking, or maybe it shows, or maybe it was too rusty than what the photos were showing. Or they might show up and haggle some more, even after you've done it on Facebook Messenger. Maybe, again, might be too rusty, might be too vintage, and they will continue to haggle. And that's completely up to you whether or not you want to take their best offer for the item. And this tends to happen a lot more with items that you are selling. As a buyer, it's completely up to you how you want to respond to sellers that either maybe you want to meet up at their place, but they don't open their door, they're not there. If you meet them at their scheduled time, you can send them a message and see what's going on, or maybe life happens and they were called away for something urgent and important. However you want to approach that as a buyer is completely up to you, and however you want to approach potential seller, if they do any of these pitfalls, is completely up to you. Again, your safety comes first. And of course, there is a possibility of fraud. And this happens with electronic payment. Say that you meet up, you buy the ladder, and they only have PayPal or Venmo or Zelle or any of those new payment options that you can pay electronically, so you don't share money or exchange money, which has happened a lot because of COVID and the fear of infection. So what will happen is, and I'll give you the scenario, you sell a ladder, or if I sell a planer and they're like, oh, let me send it to you electronically. What's your Venmo, PayPal? What's the credential to send you electronic payment? They send me payment, wonderful. They have their I have my payment, they have their ladder, wonderful. Maybe an hour later, 30 minutes later, they will get a little cagey and say that, or they'll dispute the charge through their app, and they could take that money back from you, which is a possibility. There are some countermeasures to make sure that this was a fair trade. And Facebook Messenger will give you, or Facebook Marketplace will give you those steps to make sure that this was a square deal. And I will also go ahead and show you how to kind of report a seller or a buyer if any of these, if fraud takes place, or if you believe what they're selling is counterfeit, or maybe something that shouldn't be sold on Facebook Marketplace. So again, I'm going to go ahead and switch over to the app. So I'm back on Facebook, and you'll notice that um, I have a message in the little messenger up here in the upper right-hand corner. Sorry about that. Nope, that was completely something different. All right. So we're in Marketplace, or we're in Facebook. And what we want to do is tap on Marketplace on in the lower bar here. And say that if we are interested in this ladder, and maybe the deal went terrible, or maybe say this is a counterfeit ladder, if such a thing occurs. There is this three little dot button here on the top right-hand corner. Once you tap that, it'll give you the opportunity to report a listing. You can also, if you scroll down and tap on the individual's name and picture, it'll also give you, if you tap on these three little buttons next to the messenger icon, it'll also give you an opportunity to report this seller if, say, they're selling anything counterfeit or illegal, or maybe it was a bad business deal that went down, or there's potential for fraud. Let's check on our listing right now. So let's see. Oh, I see. If say that Facebook will notify you if someone contacts you about an item. What you did not see while I was doing this presentation was that Facebook popped up on my lock screen, or the screen where on the screen of my phone, and said, person sent you a message about the planner. So, and what you can do is you could either go into your messenger, or you can click on your listing. And if you scroll down, it will list all the chats for that listing. And then it will say, hi, Xavier, is this still available? At that point, you can say, yes, it's available, or maybe between the time that the item was listed and this person contacted you, someone contacted you also and made the deal for this planner. We'll go back to this in just a bit, and we'll go back to our PowerPoint. So once your listing is sold, or so your listing is sold, money has been exchanged, the person's incredibly happy, they leave in their car, and you're $50 richer. What you want to do is go ahead and close your listing, or else others will think that your item is still for sale. When you want to reward, or you can either close your listing once you're sold, or say that maybe you've given yourself the deadline of 1 week to sell this item. If you have not gotten any responses, or maybe the responses aren't what you're interested in, you can rework your item. Maybe you can bundle it with something else. For example, the planner, maybe I can sell them also safety glasses, some gloves, maybe a couple of tools to help with their planner. Or you can also rework your listing. And I'll go ahead and jump back into Facebook in just a second to show you how you can rework your listing or even close your listing. So it's completely up to you how fast you want to sell this item. You can keep this up for as long as you'd like. Completely up to you on how much time you have, or maybe some bills are due and you need to sell a couple of things pretty quickly. You can rework your item so it can be a bit more appealing. So let's go back to our Facebook. So keep in mind, if you are a buyer, there's nothing for you to do. It's on the seller's end for them to mark the item as sold. But if we are the seller, I am selling this planner, what I'm going to go ahead and do is mark as sold. maybe you're in talks with the individual, and maybe you're on your way to um, you're on your way to deliver the item. So you can mark as pending by tapping on mark as pending. If I was to do that, um, check here, it'll sometimes add the item as pending in the listing, just to let people know that, hey, this is going to go fast. You If you want to jump on this item real quick, you want to do that now. Whatever you want to do. You can also edit your listing. So say that maybe I want to add, maybe, and sorry about that. This is because this is a new Facebook account, so pay no attention to limit reached. Say that if you want to change the amount to $45 or maybe $20, however you want to approach that. Maybe you want to add more photos. Maybe you want to list the condition differently. Maybe you want to describe it differently. That is completely up to you. Once you do that, you'll tap save on the upper right hand corner and hope for the best that this reworking will attract additional interested parties. I'm going to go ahead and mark item as sold, as this was sold a couple of months ago. Facebook will ask you, did you sell this item? You're more than welcome to type in whatever response. Yes, sold on Facebook. Yes, sold elsewhere. No, I haven't sold. Or I'd rather not answer. Again, this is more information for them to harvest and to understand the consumer. Feel free to answer however. I'm going to tap I'd rather not answer and hit next. And then it will archive any chats between you and a potential seller or buyer. And it will then, this will stay in your account in case maybe the seller says, hi, try this out. This was not what I was expecting. I would like to return this. And that's completely up to you whether or not you accept returns or not. Or you can go ahead and hit delete listing, which I'm going to do. And I'm going to go ahead and delete that listing. And you're all set. You sold your first item on Facebook Marketplace. It was a smooth transaction, and it was a very convivial one. I'm going to head back to Facebook I'm going to head back to our PowerPoint. So just to recap, you want to scope out what others are selling and make sure that you're selling at a fair price. If, for example, when I was selling the planner for our demo, I'll just say that I did it off screen. I looked at other planners, specifically vintage planners with rust that's well loved, but quite sturdy. Looked at what other people are selling and made a decision on what would be a fair price to sell that planner. Take photos. A lot of people, especially when it comes to any type of machinery, wants to know about the brand, age, as well as what model of the tool or the machine is, and be sure to take as many photos from as many angles and with as much detail as possible. As you saw from the planner that I was selling, I took a wide angle shot where I just stepped back to make sure that the whole machine was in the photo. And I stepped up closer to show them the little emblems for the brand, as well as the serial number. And I described my item as clearly as possible. So if there was any rust, the brand, whether or not it works, etc. Add any pertinent details that you think would be helpful to you that will be helpful in selling the item. Be safe. This is above all else, above money, above profit. Always be safe. Take your safety seriously. Meet in public. Meet at, if your police station has one of those internet exchange locations, go ahead and meet up there. There's cameras. There's a busy lot. This is this is insurance for your safety and theirs as well. And of course, if you're not able to get to a safe location, or I'm sorry, if you're not able to meet up in a location that's public and you have to meet up at a residence, be sure you have someone with you just in case. Lastly, once you have sold your item, close your listing so others won't ask you about your item. If I was to not mark that item as sold, I would have still gotten plenty of responses to the planner, or plenty of responses to the planner asking me whether or not it was available when it was sold to someone else. Or of course, rework your listing so it's a bit more palatable and others can see that this is a worthwhile buy. There's an important link called how to learn more about Facebook Marketplace. This gives you some helpful tips that expands upon this PowerPoint. Some of these tips were brought from how Facebook Marketplace works. You're more than welcome to copy that link as I answer questions. I'll also go ahead and send this link as well as a PowerPoint to those who registered for this class. With that said, that's the conclusion of the program. I'll go ahead and take questions, which I think we have a couple here. Okay, two questions in the chat. Originally, why would an item be reviewed? Are items not allowed to be listed? Yes, so a couple of things. I was I created a new Facebook account just so that I can demo Facebook Marketplace. And for Facebook, if you are a new user and a new user jumping onto Marketplace, that tends to raise some red flags. Because they believe that you might be committing some type of fraud or are just creating an account so you can sell something and then completely delete your account. So they review items sometimes manually. There'll be a real life person looking at the items, looking at your account. That's why I need to verify my phone number so that they know that I am an actual person and not just a robot or someone that they can potentially pin blame or blacklist in case I commit some type of fraud. There are times when items that are completely safe and can be sold on Facebook Marketplace are listed as in review, or sometimes they'll say you can't sell this item, although it falls under the policy of things to be sold. Keep in mind, Facebook uses algorithms and computers to do a lot of the heavy lifting of reviewing items. And sometimes those algorithms can stop legitimate listings. Other times it'll let not that legitimate listings go through. Another question, how are the selling of electronics or electronic items handled so you know they're in working order? That's a great question. Completely up to you and the buyer. If say they're, if in Messenger they say like, hey, is it possible for me to test this out before I purchase? Or you can trust the seller's word and believe that the item is in working condition. Once you've completed your transaction, say that, yeah, it works, it's fine, it's good, maybe it shorts out, whatever. It's tough. It's sort of like going to a thrift store where they will give you a row of outlets for you to test the electronics at the thrift store. And of course, it works flawlessly at the thrift store, but maybe after a day or two, it shorts or does something. It's completely up to you. You have to roll the dice on electronics. And I would, what I was just doing is look at the seller and see their rating. Each seller has a rating, and if they have a good rating of 5 stars, or if they've sold a ton of electronics, that's a good indication that they are selling something that might not be completely trash. So just communicate with your seller, see what you can work out and do, especially with electronics, since those can be a little finicky. Are there any other questions about Facebook Marketplace, either on the selling or the buying part of Facebook Marketplace? I will say that my dad has been has been the primary has been a power user of Marketplace. He gets a lot of tools. He got a lot of paint from some of those doing a remodel and had all this leftover paint. He's sold a couple of items from his garage, and all of those have been very um, pleasant exchanges, and none of them involved fraud. To my knowledge. None of them involved fraud. Everything was convivial. The people met at my parents' place. They exchanged conversation pleasantries, looked at the item, and of course exchanged money for the item. All while my mother is peering out the window just in case. Um, Always use common sense. Think of your safety first, and have fun on Facebook Marketplace. It can be a time suck. Um, and sometimes if you're fond of internet shopping, it can be a little dangerous. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I appreciate it. This class will be available as a PowerPoint soon. Not too sure about the video, but it should be available in quotation marks soon. I will go ahead and send the PowerPoint and this link about Facebook Marketplace soon. And thank you so much. You're more than welcome to give us a contact if you have any other questions. With that said, thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us for during this really rainy October day. Thank you so much and have a great day.